All right, you should be live.
Excellent. All right, good morning, everyone. Today is July 7th. This is the Mountain Community Capital Fund Operating Committee meeting, which I'm going to call to order. My name is Tim Love. I'm the chair of the MCCF Operating Committee. Today we have a great agenda. We've done our audio and visual check, so everyone should be good to go. If you'd like to share your video, now would be the time. If you prefer not to do so, that's fine as well. To begin our meeting today, I'd like to do a quick roll call. And so I'm going to go through the roll, ask that you state your name, that you're present, and whether or not you're a voting member. You can state that you're present by both an audio, but also a visual cue. And our minutes taker, Rachel Nygaard, will log you as present. So I'm going to go down the list in no particular order. At this point, I'm going to lead off with Ms. Dee Williams.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dee Williams. I'm a voting member, and I'm newly appointed by the Buncombe County Board of Commissioners.
Welcome, Dee. Next up, we have Carl Alguire.
Hi, I'm Carl Alguire. I am a voting member, and I am the City of Asheville appointee.
Frank McGowan. You're on mute, Frank.
Somebody has to do it, right? Hello, I'm Frank McGowan. I'm a City of Asheville employee, and I am a voting member.
Thank you, Frank. Karen Omansky.
I'm Karen Omansky with Self-Help, and I'm a non-voting member.
Kelly Foster.
Kelly Foster, Mountain BizWorks. I'm a non-voting member.
Lydia Turgeon.
Good morning. I'm Lydia Turgeon from Carolina Small Business Development Fund. I am a non-voting member.
Nikki Reed.
Morning, Nikki Reed with the City of Asheville, and I am a voting member.
Rachel Nygaard.
Happy Friday, everybody. Rachel Sawyer Nygaard here, county employee and your treasurer.
Tara Brown.
I said treasurer, but I meant secretary. Sorry.
You're all the things.
Good morning, I'm Tara Brown. I'm with Self-Help Credit Union, and I am not a voting member.
Thana Alley.
Community Development Coordinator. I'm not a voting member. I'm just here to run the software in the meeting.
Yasleen Gonzalez.
Good morning, Nelson Gonzalez. I'm Mountain BizWorks non-voting member.
All right. My name is Tim Love, Buncombe County Government staffer, chair of the Mountain Community Capital Fund, Operating Committee, voting member. Is there anyone on the call who has not introduced themselves? Great. Well, let's go ahead and jump into our old business. And actually, before we do that, I'd like to make a quick adjustment to the agenda and would like the approval of this group. In our new business section, we have an item to review the loan report, and that's a holdover from a prior agenda. And so I'd like to strike that from the meeting agenda. We will do that in the future at an upcoming meeting, but not at this one. Are there any objections to that?
Can I second that motion?
Got a seconded motion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, motion passes. We've adjusted the agenda. Thank you. Apologize for the slight adjustment there. All right, so we're going to jump back into old business. And what I'd like to do now is welcome our new Mountain Community Capital Fund appointee, Ms. Dee Williams. She went away for a couple months, but she's back right where she belongs with us on the Mountain Community Capital Fund. And so, Ms. Dee, appreciate your willingness to again serve the community and this fund as a Buncombe County member. Is there anything you'd like to say for yourself?
No, I would just say that I'm happy to be here and just hope that we do all the good we can. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. And while we're welcoming new members, I also want to take the opportunity to welcome Lydia Turgeon, who's with us from Carolina Small Business. This is Lydia's first meeting. Works closely with Reggie and Zuri and others, but Lydia wanted to give you just a few minutes to introduce yourself to the group.
Thank you so much, Tim. Good morning, Lydia Turgeon. I recently joined Carolina Small Business Development Fund and also a new convert to North Carolina. I came from Illinois, the Chicago area. So loving your weather, even though I know you guys were talking about it and it's a little hot. This is okay for me compared to snow. So, so happy to be here and happy to be part of the committee. Look forward to learning more about the program. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Lydia. Pleased to have you with us today. All right, back onto our agenda, old business. Next up, we have an approval of the minutes from the June 2nd, 2023 meeting. You should have received the meeting minutes in advance of this meeting by email, but they've also been posted to the Mountain Community Capital Fund Operating Committee website. Does anyone have any questions about the minutes? If not, I would request a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second, Carl.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? All right. Looks as though the motion carries. And then backstepping just a little bit, not an agenda item. We did do a quorum count earlier in the meeting. We do have quorum, so no issues there. Just wanted to note that for the record. So we'll keep moving. Next up on old business, we've got Carl, who's going to provide an update to us on the new lender criteria work group. This was an item that was discussed at the last meeting. I think there was healthy discussion. I wanted to continue that and have Carl kind of share his thoughts on what's next and kind of the frequency of meetings and things like that.
Thank you, Tim. Yes, the small working group met last week. Frank and John Appleby and I. We are working towards a matrix with our existing lender group to sort of see what's working, what's not, what our lender profile or what lender profile has worked best and sort of meets the needs of our lender community as well as the mission of the MCCF. We've also identified 4 additional funding groups, CDFIs, that would potentially meet our criteria and could be added to our lender group. Those are Thread Capital, Partner Community Capital, which we've already talked to, Abundance Capital, and then the Mountain Housing Opportunities Group. That all of those sort of seem to be either having a working relationship with the county today or are lending in Western North Carolina, particularly Buncombe County, that are sort of mission focused. And we're reaching out to each one of those companies to gauge their interest and to start the dialogue. Once the matrix is returned, we'll use that as part of the due diligence document to vet any potentially interested lenders, along with their financial performance, their lender profile in the community, and their activity over the last couple of years. So that's where we're at. I miss anything, Frank?
That's great.
No,
Thank you
sir.
for that. So, thank you for that update, and, definitely wanted to open it up to this group to see if they have any questions or comments, suggestions as we go through this process. Adding a new lender is an important responsibility of this group. We do have the operating committee by our services and duties agreement has the authority to add as is to that group. So we want to make sure that if we do add, it's someone that's going to kind of further our interests as a community, but also be a responsible lender. That's a key ingredient too. Go ahead, Frank.
I think this comment's related, so I'll go ahead and make it. It is interesting to me, and you know, there was a sort of joking comment earlier that, you know, we did never get any public comment at the end, but this fund is a great opportunity for those seeking capital and who need access to capital, and there has been commentary in the past about the lack of activity from other lenders and not seeing the volume that we maybe would hope to see. And why is that? So in past meetings, there were some questions about marketing the fund, and I just wanted to share that internally at the city, we've met with our communications team. We're going to coordinate with the county communications team, and we're going to do more of a communications push to make sure that there is better awareness in the community of the funds available through Mountain Community Capital Fund. So that is something that's in the works. We're coordinating that now, and that'll be moving forward.
It's a great note, Frank. I appreciate you sharing that. Misty, I see your hand is up as well. Before we transition to you, I just want to put a note in that, Frank, that if we can get some good feedback from either participants or people that applied to the MCCF, like I think that would be a really strong thing. That actually came up in last night's meeting, but we can come back to that, and I'm glad to participate. But Misty, go ahead.
So just wanted to ask if any of those lenders provide technical assistance, or if any or all of them do, like Mountain Biz does.
I don't know the answer to that yet. We're sort of holding off on getting too much detail. These were all recommendations that came to us, although I have talked to Partner Community Capital months ago. We're waiting to sort of have a clear expectation of what we would like them to qualify for. And at that point, we can certainly include that as a helpful expectation for their fund. I think that's a great idea.
That's great. Thank you both. Rachel Sawyer-Nygaard.
Thanks for the update, Carl. You mentioned a matrix. Is that something that's in development or already created?
It's in development. John Appleby is out of the country. He's leading that effort, but he has built those before. I think we discussed that last meeting, but it is under development.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
I think it'll be really useful for this group to take a look at later on in the process.
That's a great suggestion as things get further. One item, and it all relates to Frank, as we're doing our communications, maybe we build out a way to reach out to the applicants, like I said, if we think that's valuable. I think one of the key ingredients as we talk about a new lender is kind of their ability to reach into community here. And so I think, Carl, I don't know how we measure that, but I think that's got to be a key consideration, because I think it's all about penetration and where we are. So,
yeah, and I think we talked about in a previous meeting, as well as a document that I sent out, how would we vet these guys? And, one of the ways is, what social impact investing are you doing as a group? How does the mission that we have intersect with your goals for Buncombe County? And what kind of loans demonstrate that you've done in the recent past? And I think you're right. We don't want them sort of bending entirely to us. We want them to have that perspective, but we also feel like these are all sort of social impact funds today. and they may fit. So that's kind of how we're proceeding.
Sounds spot on. I appreciate you being involved in this and beating the drum on this one, Carl. Thank you so much. Right. Any other questions or comments on new lenders? All right.
One last thing. So from Mountain BizWorks, I think it would be valuable to get some. Obviously, when we look at the loan guarantee summary, that data is anonymous. So for those folks who are aware of the fund, maybe getting some feedback from Mountain BizWorks as to how those folks have heard about it and what channels they're receiving that from, receiving that information from. So if you could feed that back to me, Yasleen, that would be great.
Yeah, sure thing. Is that how would you want me to send that information?
Just by email is fine.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank
I'll
you,
see
ma'am.
if I can find a way for us to kind of break that down with our CRM platform.
Thank you very much.
And tagging on to that, Yasleen, just curiosity, does Mountain BizWorks, do y'all capture feedback from your borrowers or your technical assistance participants? I'm sure you do. I'm just curious what, if any, data is collected in terms of a survey or
Yeah,
not.
we're actually in the middle of our annual survey now.
Cool.
So yeah, we've sent that out and we'll get data. I think it closes on the 14th.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so we're right in the middle of it.
That's awesome. Well, more to follow then.
Yeah.
Right. Any final thoughts on new lender criteria and or old business? If not, we're going to transition to new business.
This is Tara. I had just one thing, which is making sure that any new lenders really understand our process and how they could benefit from this loan guarantee. So I know Partner Community Capital has done at least one loan to a Black-owned business in Asheville. It's part of their public promotion, success stories, which is Claude Coleman's Soundspace, for example, and Thread Capital, their whole mission is underserved entrepreneurs. So just in going through the process of bringing people on, making sure that the way that Mountain Community Capital works is really going to support additional loans and underwriting, because it might not always work out because we have lenders here who aren't currently using it. So as we're bringing new lenders on, just making sure that, this process is working and, maybe taking a look and having those conversations if there is anything about the way the fund operates that could be updated, which I know is a whole other conversation. But if we're continuing to see this, even bringing new people on, is there any other way to think about approaching this?
That's a great idea. Thank you.
Excellent. Last call for lender criteria work group comments. All right, we're going to transition into new business. The only item remaining in our new business is the consideration of a new loan guarantee. And this item was reviewed at the last meeting. We were unable to vote at that time due to an issue with quorum and a recusal. So would like to transition to that item. Yasleen, if you're ready to share, I'd ask that you do kind of a quick update on what that loan looks like, what the guarantee is, just so we have it in the minutes for this meeting.
Sure. Give me 1 second. I'll share my screen.
Yes.
Okay. Can everybody see that pretty good?
I can see your screen. If you could zoom just a little bit, that'd be great.
Okay. So this is a request that was presented, I believe, back in April. So it's been a couple months now. So this loan has been closed, and the committee, for the most part, were okay on reviewing this loan post due to the fact that we didn't have a quorum. So this is a food manufacturer in Buncombe County. The purpose of the loan was for them to expand into a larger retailer. This was a deal, an opportunity they had been working on for about 12 months, working on inventory throughout that time. And as far as security items, we have a UCC on all business assets, including new and used equipment. And the equipment provides a discounted value of $29,538. So we did 60 months principal and interest. The payment comes out to $1,829. Credit score is 618. They're current on all trade lines, no bankruptcy, no missed payments. As far as jobs created and retained, we'll have 5 full-time jobs retained, 3 part-time jobs retained as well. This client has received 10 plus coaching hours in financial management and operations. This request does include a previous MCCF loan refinance. Like I said, it has been within the guarantee fund already. So we, the new money will be $44,024. Let's see, the client has had an excellent payment history within the MCCF program as well. No issues there. And you can take a quick look at the numbers here. Like I said, that deficit there was due to the inventory being created in order to be ready for the expansion. However, they received some grant money to be able to bridge that gap in the income. And any questions on this?
I think Dee has a question.
You're muted, Dee.
Sorry, I'm having some difficulty with this pad I've got. Just a few. Just want to know the things. I see a line item where they got, is it TB, Tourism Development Authority funding? Is that right?
I'm
What
not
is
sure.
that? The sources of funds statement or whatever it is that you've got there, is that right? Where gross revenues are located?
Sorry, you're cutting up. What was that?
The gross revenue sheet, there's a source from TDA, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
The last line of the table, Yasleen.
Yeah.
No. That's EBITDA. It's not.
What is that?
It's EBITDA.
What is that?
So that is the, it's essentially stands for expenses. So it's essentially what we use to determine what is available for cash flow.
Income
It's
before
just-
taxes, depreciation, and amortization.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not
Okay.
it's not the TDA grant.
So that's
that
where
you-
negative amount comes from is pretty much a depreciation figure as well as is
Correct.
that what that negative amount comes
Yes.
from? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And the other question is, I guess what I'm looking at here is this is a refinance, is that right?
It's a refinance with yes, it is a refinance. However, the refinance was already within MCCF.
Yes, I understand that. How much is the new money is how much? 44,000, is that right?
44,000, yes.
Okay, the aggregate amount. What was the payoff? Is it, what, how much was that payoff?
37 to 36.
Thank you. And one last question, the ethnicity of this owner.
She's a white female.
All right, thanks so much. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Dee.
All right. Thank you, Yasleen. Are there any other questions or comments on this item? Is there any discussion notes from the last meeting worth bringing forward? Anything we missed, y'all?
No, just recapping on the previous meetings. This was on the June agenda and the May agenda, and quorum wasn't present for either of those approvals. Mountain BizWorks, Yesli mentioned, is seeking a retroactive approval. They've already gone forward with this loan and need the approval of this operating committee to do it through the MCCF program to get that loan guarantee. The original reason, I think, for that retroactive request was cancellation of a meeting, maybe April's meeting, and the borrower needing access to funds in a more timely manner. So if I'm correct about this, Mountain BizWorks took a risk, feeling like it was a great fit and that the MCCF loan guarantee would come through. So the loan has already been closed, and the lender is seeking the approval to finance it with the loan guarantee. Did I get that right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Rachel. All right. Any additional discussion? All right, so before we proceed into any type of motions or anything of that nature, Carl, I know that you recused yourself in the last meeting. I assume you would like to do so again?
Correct.
Mhm. So Carl will be recusing himself from this vote. With that said, that changes we still have quorum, so we can still vote, but that will change our voting ratios. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved, Mr. Chairman. It's D. Williams.
Thank you, Ms. D.
And I'll second. This is Frank McGowan.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, sorry.
All right. Based on my look, Rachel Sawyer Nygaard, I believe that motion passes even with the recusal.
Yep.
Excellent. Yasleen,
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
and please extend our gracious apologies to Mountain BizWorks and the Lindy for the delays in the process. So,
Thank you.
all right, Carl, you have a question or comment?
And I will say after the vote here that, even the shortage of income was really to satisfy a purchase order for a very large expansion. This is a very solid company that's looking at a very strong future here over the next 24 months. So I think it was a good decision.
That's exciting. I think it's always great when we get to talk about small businesses growing and sort of feed that cycle. So pleased to see it. So, all right. So we have concluded new business, which is exciting. At this point, we would transition to public comment. And Thana, do we have any members of the public with us here today?
No, there's no one in the queue for public comment.
Thank you. So no public comment. Before we adjourn, does anyone have anything they'd like to share with the group? Or if you don't, you just want to get out of here, that's fine too. But I want to open it up. Okay. Our next meeting, we're scheduled to meet in August. That meeting would be August 4th. which time we can craft an agenda, but I think basic idea on that agenda would, Carl, if we could kind of hear back from you, maybe review the matrix. I think that'd be really useful. Frank, if we could hear from you on communications, I think that would be great as well. And then Yasleen, if we have any updates on new modes. Yep.
And then I'll also prepare the quarterly report.
I love that. Very well. Ms. D. I'm mute, Ms. D.
I'm muted, I'm sorry. Thank you. I was just going to say that there's a new group that put together a community development corporation called Eagles Wings, and they are providing technical assistance. Their focus is Black-owned businesses and, of course, affordable housing. But they are providing some of the technical assistance, and generally, I think they've started off providing some of that to Dogwood Health Trust, to folks who have been referred on, and the folks who are in the churches. There are about 80 predominantly Black churches from 24 counties in Western North Carolina. So if you get any marketing materials, if you would pass those along so we can get those to the constituent churches, it would be helpful. Thanks.
Thank you for that, Dee. Tara Brown, could I tag you in for just a moment to talk about your work facilitating community reparations and kind of where we're at, what's coming up next, that kind of thing? I think it ties in nicely.
Sure. So thanks, Tim, for being there last night at our regular meeting of the Economic Development Working Group of Reparations. Dee is a member of that committee on the Commission for Reparations, and there's about 6 or 7 total working group members. Our recommendations at this point are around building, I should say the commissioner's recommendations are around building economic development resources that are led by Black community and tailored to Black community. And that includes, potentially an economic development center, neighborhood-based resources. There's a lot of interest in getting a Black-led financial institution to be a part of that. It's interesting because in previous times in Asheville, there have been informal loan funds. Like I heard Matthew Bacote speak during the Juneteenth series of Lunch and Learns talking about the Black businesses on the block having a loan fund to support each other. And they met weekly and decided who would get it. And Dwayne Richardson, whose parents owned grandparents owned a grocery store in Southside, talked about extending community credit when people needed groceries and they hadn't gotten paid yet and things like that. So these systems have existed in community, and I think there's a lot of interest in formalizing that, getting access to capital, and making a place where Black community can decide who gets funding. And there's also an interest in providing grants to Black entrepreneurs also. And I know Mountain BizWorks might have some funding related to that coming through the CDFI fund, which is really exciting. But that's really where we're at in terms of the recommendations. We're going into a retreat later this month to get input from all of the other working groups from housing and education, criminal justice, what else? Anyway, all of the other groups. So Dee, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add, but that's sort of where we're at with the recommendations.
Thank you, Tara, for sharing. Clearly some, related, some tangents there to this work, but still a little ways to go. So,
Awesome.
all right. Any additional comments, discussion items? All right. Well, at this point, I will adjourn our July 7th meeting of the Mountain Community Capital Fund Operating Committee. Thanks to all that joined today, and I look forward to seeing y'all at our next meeting on August 4th. Hope everyone has a great weekend, a great rest of the month, and we'll see you soon.